Hello, welcome back to the Jam Pack Podcast. I'm your host, Michael Briley. I'm back. I've got my boy Alex.
Hello.
And Joe.
What's good?
So, today I decided that I was going to be a bit of a dick, and I have give Alex and Joe 10 albums that are quite weird, quite out there, I thought would push the comfort zone, and I just wanted to see what their opinions would be on them.
I mean, it's fair. Also, as well, we may as well just put in that this could be separated into two parts.
Maybe.
Depending on time schedule.
But yeah, there was a lot to get through in such little time, so we'll get bang on it. So I'm going to start with my first album that I wanted these two to listen to, and it was Nick Mason's Fictitious Sports by Nick Mason. And if you don't know who that is, the amazing band Pink Floyd, it's their drummer's solo effort. I
mean, I thought this album was... it showed as well. It showed that he's more than just a drummer, to be honest. I think there was so much going on. And the instrumentation that he used and the different, styles that came into every song. And as well, I clocked the Ain't It Funny, Danny Brown sample, which I just thought was really, really cool.
That's where I ended up finding the album, just to add a bit of context. So... basically, my favourite album of all time, I went through all the samples for it, and this one come up, and I recognised the name from, obviously, Pink Floyd. And I must say, the actual original song which the sample is from is a really, really good song.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. But yeah, the album itself, it was quite enjoyable. It was quite easy to listen to. It wasn't as out there as I expected coming from you.
Yeah, I was going to say that, because I was going into these albums and just, I think... my view on your music taste is just like the most abstract, the most fucked up sort of thing you can think of. And so I came into this and I was like, all right, okay, this isn't
yeah,
too weird.
This reasonably normal.
This is culpable. I can deal with this.
I wanted to make it culpable. I'll put it that way. I didn't want to give you such a horrible time. I didn't want to give you acid rock 10 times.
Yeah, no, that just wasn't a good listen for me. It's just because I'm not the techno music sort of person. I think there's like certain albums where, I've listened to Daft Punk's Discovery, I've listened to Burial's Untrue, and I'm trying to think, there's another one as well that I can't remember by this point. But I think just songs where after you've heard the first 2 minutes, you sat there and you're like, okay, what else is this going to bring? And then it's the same thing for the next 4 minutes, and you sat there for 6 minutes just like, okay, I've just wasted my time.
Which I think that's what makes this Nick Mason album so fun to listen to.
It's got a lot of variety.
The sound changes so much throughout it.
But at the same time as well, the sound changes just are very cohesive at the same time. They go together well while being so different.
Yeah.
The other thing, I couldn't even pin it to a genre. I couldn't.
No.
Yeah.
A little bit of blues influence, a bit of jazz, folk. It's a mix of everything. A bit of rock.
If you just want something fun and to listen to, and you haven't really explored the Pink Floyd back catalogue that much, I'd definitely recommend getting onto this one.
That's it. You can check the playlist out on Jam Pad Podcast on Spotify.
Shout out.
Get the plug in.
So the next album, which I feel might get mixed responses, was Aviary by Julia Holter.
I really like this album. I think I like the more spaced out sort of relaxing vibe that it has to it. And then her vocals were insane on this album. And I think it just matched so well with the slow paced sort of instrumentals, but I know Alex didn't like it.
No, yeah. I found it... I wouldn't say it was... Well, it's hard to describe. I'd say it was boring, but it wasn't a bad album. Because just listening to it, not doing anything else, I just found myself thinking, oh, when's this song over? When's the album going to finish?
Yeah.
But when I was driving with it on or cooking with it on or something like that, I went back to it and I did enjoy it a bit, but more as background music because it's a bit too slow for me.
Yeah. First time I listened to this, I was working. I had it on my earphones and I was very, very busy, and it just made me feel so much easier about the actual messed up shift that I had ahead of me. So that kind of give it some bonus points, to be fair. But this is one of two albums I think on this list that I got because, well, no, 3 albums actually. So there's a music reviewer called Rick the Lie, and he's basically my go-to for any kind of stuff that I will have missed while I've been going through the internet, because he has found some very unique, very underground music that I can't help but check out whenever he puts it on his channel. But yeah, I didn't know what to expect from you both from this one. I expected one of you to not like it.
I think really when it comes to it, it's just the slow pace of it matched with the album runtime just doesn't do it any favours, because I think by the time you get to the later stages of the album, you just sat there like, well, I think there's not many more ways you can take it, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I think some of the layering on it as well and some of the different instruments were really cool in the earlier tracks.
It's beautifully textured. Like, I'd say if you're looking for more like stuff that has such a strong like instrumentation without having it to be like loud and thick, it's just rich in the nicest and the smallest way, and that really it really aids the album in being a fun, like, unique listen, if that's like your kind of thing. So next, which I think out of all of these is my favorite album out of these 10, and is probably one of the most unintentionally influential albums on the music that we kind of consume now. Wow. It's Old Dirty Bastards, N-Word Please, which I really wanted you two to listen to this fully.
Oh, yeah.
I think I've been it's always just sort of been there for me as well. Just like knowing that it's a really good album, but just sort of not getting the time to listen to it. So I'm quite happy that I did, to be honest. It was a really, really good album.
Yeah, I had heard good things, but I went into it not really knowing Old Dirty Bastard much at all. And like, yeah, it was a solid choice. I did enjoy all the tracks, and they blended well. There was some good contradictions, some good links back.
Yeah.
Connected well. Nice groove.
I think with Old Dirty Bastard, it was just the lyrics and the sort of attitude that he had going into it, that it just sort of came off like he didn't care what he was saying, didn't care, what sort of praise it'd get, what sort of backlash he could get from it. He just wanted to do what he wanted to do. And I loved as well, because you mentioned this before I went into it, the Neptune's production on it. And I just thought that was really, really good, because it was sort of their influence, but you could still hear that Wu-Tang boom bap sort of style in it as well. So I just thought, and as well, Got Your Money is just a classic.
Yeah. I must say he's the same with it was the same with actual like Wu-Tang Clan. In terms of like rapping ability, he's not there in comparison to some of the people in that group, but he's the one you remember.
Yeah,
The man's like just got the most batshit voice, delivery, lyrics, and it makes for such fun and catchy listening.
Yeah, 100%. I think just his character in general just makes him so worthy to listen to, just on that alone. Also,
if you'd want to get an idea of how batshit insane the album is, listen to Cold Blooded, the Rick James cover. It's a treat. I'll put it that way. Next album is a bit of a weird one. Not in the sense of, like, if you came from where the album was from, it'd be weird. It's quite a normal one for their standards. But in terms of you two listening to it, I thought I'd push the boundaries with Danny Rivera's self-titled album.
Yeah, I think going into it, I just saw the name of all the tracks, and I was like, because I'm not really one for foreign language music. I just think I don't really get like what they're saying, which makes sense, really, doesn't it? But I think going into it, and then I think starting listening, I just thought it's exactly what I expected. It was just sort of the guitar, the Latin lyrics, and the sort of passion that he put through on it. And I just think, I just didn't think too much of it, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I'm not a racist like Joe, and I did enjoy the album, and I have dabbled with foreign music a bit before. I listened to some French music and some stuff like this Danny Rivera track, but Latin. It was a good mix. I enjoyed driving, listening to it. Yeah,
I found this album. So there's a YouTuber called The Rap Critic, and recently he did a video where he went through a Big Pun track, and Danny Rivera was the sample.
Yeah.
And and it played a snippet of his voice, like just in the song, not from his original song, which it was sampled from.
Yeah.
And I just thought his voice was so good that I just had to start listening to him. And he has over such like lazy guitar and such like that classic kind of like Latin like instrumentation.
Yeah.
His voice is so like powerful on top of it, and yeah, I just had to like see what your thoughts were on it, and I had to get you to listen to it.
Well, the album itself did feel like a story, even though I couldn't follow it with the words. I could tell that there was some kind of structure there.
So next, which in terms of foreign language music has a lot of English on it, however, picks I don't know how many other languages in the making of the album.
Yeah, it's a good 3 or 4.
Yeah, and that is L'Scenari di Heliodoro by Rome.
Damn, the pronunciation.
Oh,
That was
what can
clean.
what can I say? I was very worried going into that.
Where do you know where Rome are from?
I've not really looked into them. I've just listened to the album.
Yeah, I haven't. I think I really did like it. It just sounded, first going into it, just like the whole aesthetic of it just sort of reminded me of sort of like post-rock and sort of like the build-up and the slow sort of drums, but how massive they were. And I think with the lyrics as well, it just sounded like something straight out of like a 50s epic or something.
Yeah, it plays kind of like a movie, like with a little like war, like
definitely.
snippets of samples, the heavy drums and stuff like that. It's the instrumentation's not played heavy, but it's mixed in a really like heavy in a really nice way.
Yeah.
But yeah, I found this album. So shouts out to Mike Seatown. He does like he does videos where any vinyls that he picks up, he'll show them off.
Yeah.
And any vinyl that he does put on, I download and listen to the album of. And this one just ended up, I ended up really enjoying it. And I also didn't want to put you onto some really heavy death metal, so I thought it'd be nice.
Yeah, I mean, it was well structured. That's my main point. And I've just looked it up. They're from Luxembourg, so they would be able to speak a lot of languages, and that's why it seems
That does
so
make sense.
fluent. But yeah, I'd say it was one of my top 3 from the 10 that you gave me.
Sweet.
I think we'll carry on.
We'll carry on.
And I'll mention my top 3.
All right.
When we
So
get to it.
this is my next one from Rick the Lie. This is Maisie Fly by Spelling.
I think this album was really, really good. I thought it gave off sort of like pop vibes, but then like the techno in it, like the sort of synths and that sort of. I just thought it meshed so well.
I mean, for me, it wasn't a great album. It was listenable, but also quite forgettable. It was just chilled out with some alright tunes and a decent track list, but it was like nothing special.
Yeah.
Kind of beach house influenced as well, which I did like about
got
it.
that.
But
Yeah, I think like a testament to the album is it's bare, but it pulls from so many different like musical backgrounds and influences that it just kind of makes this really like unique and rich like minimalist play on like so many different types of like instrumentation that you'd hear from different genres.
Yeah.
And then the kind of the doom and gloom nature of it. That's my vibe. I'll put it out there. I really like music that makes me feel like everything's gone to pot. But in a complete opposite end of the spectrum in terms of instrumentation and vocal delivery, we have Frank Zappa apostrophe.
That was weird. It wasn't weird for the instrumental. It was just weird for what he was going on about.
yeah, the concept of it.
And I was just sat there some of the times like, what is going on? Like trying to follow along and him just saying like some random weird shit, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
what?
I liked it. I mean, I
Yeah,
really enjoyed it. Top
I do-
3,
I-
100%.
I do like it.
It was, even by the 3rd track, there was a massive twist in both the story of the album and the delivery and the style of the songs, and it was really varied. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, a testament to him is just how you can never really follow or expect what he's gonna do on like any album, But in terms of the way it sounded, this album it sounds really fun. Like you can't help but enjoy yourself listening to it.
For what's going on, he just sound like sort of upbeat and just sort of happy in general. It's like in a good mood, I'd say.
And also anything that has really strong like female group background vocals on some songs, I will always enjoy that.
100%.
And then possibly the album that was the most obscure for me to find is the Black Moth Super Rainbow Dandelion Gum album, which I thought I'd throw in because it's not. Don't know how, like, I don't know if it'd ever enter your like kind of like sphere of music, but I thought it would just border on being liked by both of you. So I wanted to see what you would think of it.
I thought it was really, really cool. I think it was weird. Like the instrumentals were like bordering on normal, like they were like standard, and then the vocals came on, and it just sounded so like, I'm trying to think, like suspenseful and like almost horrifying, just like because it sounded so eerie, and I was sat there like, what's gonna happen to me? While the just completely contrasted the instrumental.
Well, I knew you would like this album, but I was only so about it. It's another one that I don't think I'll revisit often. It was okay. I've not got that much more to say. There were some strange tracks, so nothing too memorable though.
So the way I found this album was there was an interview, I think it was in 2012 or 2013, and it was Earl Sweatshirt and Sid the Kid with Nardwuar. And out of all the vinyls that they passed, that they got passed by him, this one they lost the shit to.
Oh shit!
And I was like, I'd never seen it before. The album art intrigued me.
Yeah, 100%.
Their reaction to it intrigued me, so I thought I'd give it a little play, and ended up really enjoying it. So I just thought, just throw it on there. Just throw it on there. It's not known. It's got production that you're familiar with, but also it's done in such a very like unique way that you can garner like a lot from it in terms of just how it plays out.
Yeah.
But the next one, which I thought would be the most difficult one for you both to stomach, which I really enjoy this album. It's probably my second on this 10. However, I knew that it would get a visceral response, and that is Ifriqiya Electric's Layla El Bori.
Just don't know what was going on with that album. Just sort of got to the end and was just like, what am I listening to? What is happening? And just it was very, very tough listen for me. I think it was just, I didn't have any clue what was going on. Just the lyric, it was just like people chanting and then just some drums over it. The drums were over the lyrics, so I could barely even hear them, never mind what they were saying. And I was just like...
So for context to the problem that Joe is having with this album is from Africa. It uses a lot of inspiration from African gospel singing, like church singing, that kind like the kind of old chants that they would do, and it layers them with industrial instrumentation, and some points really heavy industrial instrumentation, which is
a strange mix of genres. Yeah.
I think it's the first time I've probably ever felt these two cross paths.
Well, I quite liked it. I thought it was a bit weird, and at first I thought, what? So I re-listened, and aside from the last track, it was I enjoyed it, and I could appreciate the songs. I think Denis Denis was a good single track, and the album did fit together pretty well. It
has some really good like. In terms of like individual songs I can pick out from, this has some that really pop, like Bismillah Bidet, amazing. Joe's agreeing hard there.
Hey La La.
Yeah.
I just don't know what to say. I'm just sat here waiting.
You're waiting to move on?
No, I mean...
Because the next one,
this is just when it goes downhill for me.
Are you sure you want to move on?
I'll just get my top three now. My top three would probably be ODB, Please, Black Moth Super Rainbow, Dandelion Gum, and probably Spelling.
Are you sure it's not the next album that we're about to discuss, Joe?
I've already said this album.
This album is Rhythm Device's acid rock, and it says exactly what it is exactly what it says on the tin.
It's one song remixed lots of times. I mean, some of the remixes were quite good.
Yeah.
I think there were a couple, but I think once you get into like the 5th consecutive remix of one track and you haven't heard the original track yet, and you just think, this is just going to be a very long, very much a drag.
Yeah. So the album, for context, has only 3 original songs, and then I think there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 remixes of one of those original songs. And the song originally itself is just batshit. It's exactly what it says. It's rock done in the way of like acid music from the 80s and 90s, and it's a tough mix, I'd think, for some people.
Well, I like that style of music, acid, techno, garage, things like that.
That's not really my thing, as I said, but yeah.
And it worked well. I liked seeing the different takes on the same kind of style of tune. And that's all I've got to say.
Yeah, I think that's what impressed me about it, is because of the fact that even though the original song is it's not simple, like the challenge of combining those two in that kind of manner is impressive. But I didn't realize they could find 7 different ways to kind of try and make it sound different.
Yeah.
Probably not to Josie is. Probably all just melted into one noise.
Some of them were. Some of them, like the way that they did it was like something different. But I just think I'd heard it all before, so I couldn't really care by that point.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, that was the 10. So your top 3 was the
Dandelion Gum, N-Word Please, and Spelling Maisie Fly.
Yeah.
And I'd probably say mine were... I couldn't really put an order to it, so I'll just tell you 3 albums.
Yeah.
Probably the Danny Rivera one.
So sweet.
The Frank Zappa, and then the Old Dirty Bastard as well.
All right. Well, I have a question to pose for you before I bounce on this topic. So that was tame.
Oh, okay.
That was tame.
I was gonna say
it did seem a little.
I was gonna say next time just bring the heat. Like I'll listen to anything.
You want me to bring the heat?
Just bring the heat. Go for it.
I will dive into the dark, deep depths of music and pull out some absolute fuck shit for you.
Like next time we come into this segment, just me and Alex are gonna be traumatized.
Yeah, I'm gonna be smiling. I can't wait to see your faces like after you've listened to what I'm pulling for you, because I will pull some absolute messed up shit for you.
Oh, nice one. Excited now.
It's actually going to be Eminem. All of Eminem's discography.
Nice
it's going to be so weird. Have you ever heard of him before?
Of Eminem?
Of Eminem. Have you ever heard of him before?
I've heard a couple of his songs. My favourites, I'm trying to think.
Lose Yourself?
No. I'm trying to think of some of the weirder Eminem songs.
Relapse, the album.
Just the whole thing.
But yeah, so, all right. That gives me motivation to possibly turn into a recluse and hate myself for the rest of my life while I try and find you some mental, insane stuff.
I mean, if it was me, I'd just be giving you guys Swans records. So I just think you're lucky.
No, please don't.
God, I don't want to spend 7 hours of my life on an album.
Don't make me listen through Swans for a podcast idea, Joe, please.
We'll see.
All right. Well, that was my first attempt at hosting. I wouldn't let me do it again. So thank you for listening to this episode.
I was going to say, follow us on Instagram, We Jam Packed, Spotify, Jam Packed Podcast, and subscribe to the channel, give us a like, and we'll see you next time.
Make sure to hit that bell. All right. Cheers, B. See you next time.
Bye.